Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning bilingual podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. Sí, Please Me se puede ver con subtítulos en español. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sexual education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. Last week, I spoke with Firm Tech creator Dr. Elliot Justin about his incredible penis ring technology that can measure nocturnal erections and be a predictor of future cardiovascular disease and events such as a heart attack or stroke. This episode is a must-listen if you are serious about your sexual health and general heart health. I am beyond thrilled and deeply honored to be nominated for 3 Fan Favorite Podcast Awards. This includes 2 ASN Awards, 2 Latin Podcast Awards, and 2 Women Podcaster Awards, and it's all thanks to you and your incredible support. You can vote daily, so check the show notes to cast your vote and help me bring these wins home. I'm so grateful for every one of you. Thank you for listening, sharing, and showing up. Did you know that podcasts rely on listener support to keep bringing you the content you love? For the best way to support the show, join me on Patreon for ad-free listening, early releases, bonus episodes, and exclusive content. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
Doing those things that I listed are going to automatically, because you're going to feel good about yourself. So it's automatically going to lift your confidence. And once your confidence is lifted, the world is your oyster.
ASN Lifestyle Magazine is your go-to source for sex-positive, sophisticated content covering everything from the swinger lifestyle and adult entertainment to intimacy, wellness, and more. You can read every digital issue for free, and subscribers get access to exclusive content. See the show notes for the link to subscribe and check out their Instagram. I'm excited to share that I now have a monthly column in ASN called Big Clit Energy, a Please Me series. Don't miss it and subscribe today. Hello and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health by turning the sheets into our classroom. I'm so excited to welcome Kimberly Dorsey to the show today. She is the creator of Lucky Girl CEO. She is a life and success coach, and she doesn't just speak on personal development, she embodies it. She helps people to shift from pain to power, and she reminds everyone that you don't need permission to change your life. You just need to decide. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to the show, Kimberly. How are you today?
Thank you. I am great. So glad to be here. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I just finished up a webinar this morning where I talked about the anatomy of big clit energy. That was a lot of fun. And so I am excited to talk to you today about your business, Lucky Girl CEO. And I want to know what brought you personally to develop this particular business.
I wanted to help people avoid all the complications I went through when it comes to developing myself and revamping my whole character. So this is like an accelerated program where I grab your hand and we blast off into the you that you've always envisioned.
I love that. And tell us a little bit about your personal history and what made you feel like you needed to recalibrate your life. And we're going to talk about what that means to you, but let's talk about your personal recalibration of your life and how you got to the place where you are now.
Yeah, so I'll make it short because it's a couple decades long.
Yes, I understand.
I was adopted, so I always felt like isolated and always had to manage my emotions because people have not been, or the people around me weren't in my situation before, so I didn't really know how to cater to that. So I've always been alone when it came to making myself feel whole. That led to me always going internally to find answers, which led me to research and got pregnant at 18, had a son, was in an abusive relationship that kind of depleted me, didn't learn, and got pregnant again at 23, had a daughter, and that put like a fire under me. So I started entrepreneurship then. 10 years of that, multiple multi-level marketing businesses, multiple businesses that I started on my own. But yeah, and then I got to the point where my knowledge, I could stand on my knowledge and help other people with it. And I also went through a whole domestic violence situation that permanently split me and my kids' dad from each other. So that was a positive thing too, because it made me be able to stand on my own 2 feet. So yeah, real quick.
That was a loaded few sentences. Absolutely. You've gone through so much, and you're absolutely right that not a lot of people go through adoption. So it's very hard to relate to someone who has been adopted because just not a common experience for a lot of people. So I appreciate that you share your story because I'm sure that there's people out there listening that have been adopted or are in situations where maybe they were in foster care or something to that degree where their actual biological parents didn't raise them and they can relate to this story. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that about yourself and about the abuse that you experienced, the domestic violence, and the teenage pregnancies that you experienced, because all of that sort of shapes the way we begin our lives, right? And now suddenly you are going to have this fire because now you have two other children that you need to provide for. So I can see how that was really a motivating factor for you. And getting out of the relationship with your ex that was abusive to you also be another huge, like, freeing experience so that you can be on your own in the world and try and figure things out in terms of how you can make your life better and better for your children. And one of the questions that you had in terms of like generational trauma is, I think, something that we can just jump into right now since you brought up the fact that you have kids and that you had your own trauma as a child growing up. How do you help people to break the generational trauma? And I know that for me, it's super important because I was sexually abused as a child. By the time I was 11, I had five people, different people that had sexually abused me. And so I came from that traumatic experience, and it was necessary for me to heal from that for myself, but also to understand how, if I didn't do something about it now for myself, that it can continue on with my children. And you have children too. So that is such a big reason why I'm so vocal about
Yes.
sexuality, because I want to make sure that my kids have all the information, all the education that they need. So you want to just jump in and talk to me about how you help people to break that generational trauma?
Yes, what I do like to do in my program is I find out what you're really struggling with, and then we sit down and create positive habits. And the positive habits is going to help you build your confidence. We also come with a meal plan, so eating better, more clarity. That is the start of how we start cracking through the cement of the trauma.
Okay, self care, because nutrition and an eating plan is part of taking care of yourself. So self care is so essential for all of us and just for being healthy in general. And your body needs to be healthy in order for your mind and spirit to be healthy. So it's essential that you talk about that. And so I'm glad that even though you're coaching about maybe emotional baggage or traumatic experiences, that you're also looking at like the whole body holistically, because the whole body needs healing and needs to be healthy in order for all of
Mind,
the parts.
body, and soul is what we focus on.
Exactly, exactly. I love that. You talk about life recalibration as part of your program, and I would love for you to define that and how can it be used to empower our sexuality?
Oh, sexuality. Okay. So, life recalibration, I originally created that from when you hit rock bottom and you
Yes,
look around and see where you're at, and you start making the positive changes and creating positive habits to recalibrate and move to a different position in life. But to make it linked to sexuality, I feel like once you become more self-aware and happy with yourself, you can start exploring more avenues when it comes to sexuality. You're not as bogged down with worry and situations that are going on that are negative, and you can more focus on the experience with your partner and making that better.
absolutely. So again, thinking holistically about the body, mind, and spirit, right? Because all of that plays into how we view ourselves and our confidence in the world. And then that translates to how we view ourselves and our confidence in relationships,
Yeah.
whether it be hookups all the way to marriage and like everything in between, right? So we need to have that confidence in ourselves in order to be able to express that in a relationship. And so I appreciate that you pull all of that together.
Yeah.
What are some high frequency habits? And you've already mentioned habits a couple of times that change things for you. And what are the things that you help people to develop habit wise so that they can live a better life? And I know you already talked about nutrition. That's one of those
Yeah.
habits that needs
Nutrition.
to be maintained all the time. So, what other sorts of things?
Definitely waking up early.
Okay.
Well, you can see and plan out your day effectively and be more efficient with your time. Then I would say being active is right underneath it, if not first, because you got to get your body moving to be able to release and just get the blood flowing. Like you can't be blocked and tense when it comes to trying to better yourself. Those are some things I help my clients with. Another one is said nutrition. Journaling is huge. I feel
Hmm.
like journaling is an excellent release. It's definitely more spiritual than anything. And I prefer you to journal with pencil and paper rather than in your notes. But say if you're on the go, you can definitely use your phone, jot down some things. And when you get home, get that pencil and paper and journal. So those are a few things I would suggest and that I do for myself that help me.
Yes, and I love the fact that you are also going through all of these things yourself and have used all of these tools yourself to get to the place where you are now. And you continue to use those tools. And I think that those are really essential. And I agree, journaling is such a powerful tool that is just so simple, but yet it's so powerful. You can really manifest your life if you put it on paper. And words are powerful. And if you are writing down what you want to manifest in your life on a daily basis, you are going to create the things that you are writing down and
Yes,
manifesting for yourself.
inevitable.
Absolutely. And if you are thinking negatively all of the time on the other side of the coin, right? If you're constantly thinking negatively, you're going to be attracting negativity into your life. So, really changing that mindset. And I know that you talk about mindset as part of what you help your clients to change in terms of helping them with whatever issues they may have. Do you want to just jump in and talk a little bit about how you help your clients with their mindset?
Doing those things that I listed are going to automatically, because you're going to feel good about yourself. So it's automatically going to lift your confidence. And once your confidence is lifted, the world is your oyster. So that definitely is those things I listed are definitely going to help you shift your mindset in a positive
Absolutely.
direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you have any tips as to how you suggest people to journal? Is it, do you just do like free
You
association
can,
or
sorry,
I love to journal. I'm just going to put it out there. What I like to do is I have a deck of goddess cards, and I every morning I open my deck and I shuffle it and I like pick one card and I read it and then I journal about that because typically if I'm thinking about something, it always seems to help me to answer that question that I've been thinking about. And so I it just helps me to get my journaling started. That's like something that I do. I also just love to, if I had a dream or something, I love to wake up and write that down, or just free association. But any other tips and tricks you can help people with in terms of
yeah,
journaling, because I do find that is such an amazing tool.
yeah, I love the card idea. I've never heard of those cards. I have to look into that. But
Okay.
I would suggest a lot of explaining how at the end of the day, just going through how your day went, how things made you feel. You can also use Chat GPT. I use Chat for a lot of shadow work. So since I interact with it a lot, it knows me to a certain level. I
Mhm.
say, hey, what do I need to work on? And I get a list of 10 and I pick that one and just divulge into it, dive in. And I do that typically every night. And that helps me with my shadow work. So chat and then just free form, right? How your day went and how things made you feel.
I love that. And tapping into your emotions is so key, how they made you feel. Because how you feel is actually how you perceive the world, right? So you can actually control your emotions to help to make you feel better. So I love that you bring up emotions because I think it's really important for us to really pay attention to those emotions and express those emotions. So I just had Sophia Turini on the show. She was a recent guest, and she talks about how our emotions can get trapped in our bodies if we don't express them the first time around. So I love journaling for the mere fact that you can express your emotions. Because if you are not expressing your emotions the first time around when you're experiencing something traumatic or when you're just experiencing life in general, that emotional baggage can get trapped inside of your body and can cause blockages in your energy. And she talks about emotional freedom technique, EFT or tapping technique that she uses to help release those emotions. But journaling can also be a great adjunct to helping you to feel those emotions, express those emotions, and work through your issues. You want to jump
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, I feel like journaling is the kindergarten for not the kindergarten, but where you start. Like journaling is a good entry point when it comes to that. So yes.
Absolutely, yes. So expressing those emotions is so key. How has your relationship, because you mentioned this before, how's your relationship with your body evolved over the years? And where are you now as opposed to where were you like 10 years ago?
So I always felt awkward. I'm lanky. I'm not so much tall, 5'6", 3/4", but my arms and legs are really long. So I've always had an issue when it came to clothes and things like that, and felt just very uncomfortable and awkward in my body. Even with me being very active in sports and being always fit, so to say. Then when I had my children, that just went even lower with all the things that happen when you're pregnant. So as of recently, me working out and doing the same program I give to my clients, I am absolutely in love with myself. I feel like just the self-care we talked about and the confidence that is built doing the self-care, I am, yeah, absolutely in touch and in love with my body as of now. And I'm
That's
pretty
great.
sure for the future.
Good. That's good because as you get older, your body changes, and that's absolutely natural and normal. And we need to love ourselves at every stage. For instance, for me, and I love talking about myself because I think that using examples is helpful. And for me, like recently, I've been going through menopause. And so in the last, I would say 6 months, I've just boom, gained 10 pounds out of nowhere. I've always been a great eater. I eat healthy. I also exercise regularly. But hey, menopause did it. Like your hormones change, suddenly things change in your body, and suddenly you're heavier than you were before and you're not used to it. But you have to learn to love yourself at every size because your body is not going to always maintain the same size. When you get pregnant, you expand. When you have the baby, you contract, so you get smaller. The skin doesn't necessarily go back to where it was, or you might have stretch marks or whatever that may be, all of the things that happen to our bodies over the course of years, whether you have children or not, our bodies change. And so, really learning to love your body throughout your whole life, I think, is so essential. And I think that something that helps me is really picking something that you really love about your body at your new size. It may be that, at this size, you had A cups and now you've got double D's and you're like, whoa, hey, I'm not going to complain about double D's, right? I'm liking the look of this, even though maybe I don't like this other part or that other part as much, but I love this part of my body or whatever it may be for you. Like just figuring out what it is that you love about your body at every size, because no matter what, it's inevitable that we will be changing in our lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree. Never even thought
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
absolutely. So I'm curious, and I'm going to get a little personal here because I want to talk about our private desires, right? Because we all want to be able to express our personal desires, our private desires. And I'm just curious to know if you would share what private desire you have never spoken about, but want to put out there into the universe.
Something I have thought, I don't know if I would be able to handle it, but something I have thought about. and I fantasized about was being in a poly relationship, but
Okay.
being the girlfriend that was brought in. So I'm like the focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like I don't like,
you want to be the center of attention from both the other partners.
yes, that's something that, yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to handle it though if the situation was presented to me, but yeah,
And so
definitely.
are you polyamorous? Now I'm getting very personal, but are you polyamorous or
You're allowed. I am I haven't been, and the last situation I was in where the conversation came up of threesome, I was against it. But then that's why I think I would be more comfortable being the girl brought into a relationship instead of it being my relationship and bringing someone else in. But yeah, that's why I'm at that standpoint.
Okay. And there's differences between like poly relationships as opposed to like swinger relationships where, right, where like in a swinger relationship, if a couple brought you in, swingers are really more focused on like the sexual experience
That-
and really enjoying the sexual experience. So bringing you into a situation like that where you were very clear about the fact that you wanted to be the center of attention, because a lot of times in a situation like that, it will be the wife that wants to be the center of attention and you're being brought in to like help in that arena. But if you're very clear about the fact that you want to be the center of attention, you want the partner, the woman and the man to make you the goddess of the day, the princess of the day, and have all of the attention, and really being able to verbalize that as to what you want, you can certainly create that experience for yourself. I would say pretty easily because you're a gorgeous woman. And I can imagine that you would have many people that would be interested in an experience like that with you. Now, when
Yes.
it comes
And
to poly, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, and I was gonna say not from a selfish standpoint, but I honestly believe that I provide a lot of value and that the energy that is instilled and invested in me would come back tenfold. Not just from everybody wants to be a little selfish, but not just from a selfish standpoint.
And I love that you clarify that too, because a lot of times people that want to be like the quote unquote like pillow princess and want to just lay back and receive all the love. There's a time and a place for that, but it's always nice to have partners that are also engaging and the fun too and are not just like totally passive. But when it comes to a polyamorous relationship, now that is like a little bit different in terms of a threesome, right? Where you're looking to build relationship and build loving relationships with people. And so I can also see that being of benefit to a partnered relationship already that's looking for, say, a girlfriend to come in and join their partnership and become a threesome or a it's not what I'm thinking of because a threesome is more like sexual. And
Right.
I'm thinking of what am I thinking of? Trio? No, that's not what I'm thinking.
Threesome works when you're talking to adults. Like we get what
Yes.
you're, yeah,
Yes. But what I'm talking about is like a poly relationship with three people. And that's not the word that I'm trying to say. But anyway, you
right.
get my point. Where you have three people as part of the relationship, it's not just sexual in nature. It also encompasses spending time outside of the bedroom and maybe even being in contact with people's family members, children, etc. Like really bringing the families together and creating relationships that are more than two. Either way, I wish you luck on that pursuit of your desire because I think that is a pretty common desire actually. I think a lot of people are curious about being in a threesome, whether it be for love purposes and building relationships with which I think is probably less common, but more so having a sexual relationship with two other people. And so I'm just curious, and I don't know if you would answer this or not, but have you ever had a threesome before?
Yes.
Okay. And was it with a man and a woman, or was it with two men?
Uh, a man and a woman. I've never had
Okay.
the thing.
Okay. All right. That's another option when it comes to threesomes. And so I just like to put all the options out there because I think that it's only fair that if a man wants a threesome with two women, that a woman can also say just the same. I would like then a threesome with two men. So why not? I love that big smile. Oh, she's covering her mouth. If you're just listening, now she's giggling. Okay. All's fair in love, right? All's fair in
Yeah.
love. I love. Absolutely. And I understand why, if you think about it, like why a man would want a threesome with two women. It's like visually double the fun, right? And men can get turned on with watching two women interact as well. But I often think that when it comes to function in terms of a threesome, it's harder for a man to have a threesome with two women than it is for a woman to have a threesome with two men because the woman can be more active and physical in a way that a man really can't. It's hard for one man to satisfy two women. So functionally, it works better the other way around. And so a lot of times people think, that a threesome is two women and a man. It doesn't always have to be. So I just want to put it out there. Or it could be three women, it could be three men. We are talking about, we are everything is included here. I am part of the LGBTQ community. And I would love to know if you have any involvement in the LGBTQ community.
I do. I'm not really informed on the letters per se, and I don't want to be offensive in any way. But yes, I am bisexual.
Okay, so you're bisexual. And I know that we talked about you having an experience with someone that was a trans person. And I don't know if it was a trans woman or a trans man, but we're going to jump into that in a minute with the role play. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, what's something taboo that you think should be normalized? And I love this question because I feel like we are constantly talking about taboo things, please me, and trying to normalize these conversations because only with normalizing these conversations can we really create openness around our confidence in our sexual space. So tell me what taboo things you think should be normalized.
Taboo things I think should be normalized is it when people say it's gay, even though the opposite sex is doing it.
So just expand on that. Because if someone says it's gay, meaning whatever it is that you like is like something that only gay people like. So let's just use an example like rimming or like anal play or anal sex. That's something that someone might say, oh, that's gay, especially like men that are very like macho or
Right.
not. They might be like, oh, no, I don't want to even go there because that's gay.
Right.
That's the only example that I can think of. Is that something that
Right.
like what
And
you're thinking about?
even if you're not, it's not your thing, but then to judge the next person because they like it, I don't like that. Let that not be your thing, but it's not gay if the next person likes that and someone of the opposite sex is doing that with them.
100%. 100%. I agree with you. I feel like sexuality is our adult playground, right? So if you're not trying things outside of the box, things that you're not used to, things that you're not necessarily comfortable with, you're never going to grow. If you're always staying within that box, you're never going to grow and really be able to hone that all of the skills that you need to have an amazing sex life, really opening your mind and getting rid of the silly things, to stereotypes and societal norms that sort of hold us back, throwing all of that out the window and really trying to be open minded about sexuality because really our bodies were meant for pleasure. And if we're not learning how to pleasure ourselves in different ways, we're never going to grow. So I love that you said that. And the example that I gave about anal sex or rimming or anything like that is something that a lot of times people don't feel comfortable with and may think is not part of something that they would be interested in trying. But if it's an absolute no, you know that about yourself and you should be able to say that. But if it's something that you want to try, definitely being able to express that to your partner
Right.
is important
Right.
too. So I love that you bring that up. And so that brings us to our role play.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot of fun. I love to do role plays just to model conversations between two people. And so we're going to be pretending that we are homegirls, we're friends, we're like out hanging out. And you're going to tell me about an experience that you had with a partner, and I'm just gonna just jump in and have some conversation about it. So, action. So, I want to know all about your most recent relationship or friendship that you developed with. You told me a little bit about a partner, and I would love to know more about that partner. Tell me
And
more.
I met someone that was trans. Good experience, cool experience. I learned a lot. I learned that the outside doesn't have to match the inside and to never go into something with expectations. It was fun. Doing it again, I can't put them all in one box, but I don't know because it was a trans man, outwardly masculine, very still much feminine on the inside. And
Okay.
I already, girl, I'm bisexual. So I know how to handle both. But if I have to wear a certain shoe or heel, I want to completely and fully operate out of the shoe or heel. So the back and forth with the emotional switch was a lot to deal with. Yeah, other than that, I don't know, girl. What kind of you got a question? What you want to know?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, had this man was he taking hormones? Had he had any surgery that had changed?
Oh yeah, he was
Um,
full blown outside man. Full blown
okay,
all the surgeries.
okay, amazing. Okay. And
Go ahead.
so
It seems like you're what you want to know.
yeah, that's what I want to know. I want to know the details, right? I want to know how it was. How was it sexually? Like, how did he perform?
Um,
How was the sex?
best head I ever had in my life.
Okay. Okay.
Like that to the point where it was toxic. If I wasn't the person I am with the self-discipline, I would have been wrapped up in something that would have been not good for me or my future. As for like regular intercourse, he didn't go through the last surgery, so there was some equipment needed to insert and do all those other things. But
Right.
once it was going down, you didn't know the difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. And I'm just curious because I am just nosy like that. Did he use a strap on?
No, I don't like that.
Okay. All right.
I don't. I need real skin. I don't like that. I
Okay.
rather just you just give me head forever before you do that. Yeah,
Okay. All right. And I love this conversation because we can enjoy sex without having penetrative sex, okay? And a lot of times people think of sex as only being penetrative sex, but sex is a continuum of so many different things.
for
And
sure.
and the fact that you really enjoyed that and you even said that it was like quote unquote toxic, which I think it's like a toxic in a good way, right? Like
Both
but
bad and good. Bad and good.
I have to say that I appreciate that your honesty about that
Mhm.
because when you do have a relationship with anybody that like is like amazing in one way or another where you feel like you want that all the time, it can be something that is toxic if there's a lot of other red flags that you're ignoring because of that one thing, right?
That one thing led me to celibacy today. Don't touch me
Okay.
until I'm in a committed relationship or like yeah, it was that toxic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I am curious to know, and I don't know if this is something that you paid attention to, but you said best head of your life. And is there anything specifically in terms of technique that you noticed that was different from the head you were getting from him as opposed to the head you've gotten in the past?
this is a good question because I feel like the fact that the very, very last surgery wasn't done to where equipment was needed to be had, that led him to be more focused on concentrated on doing the best. A cis man, he's gonna do it until it gets wet and then he's already rock hard and ready to go. So I definitely feel like that had something to do with it. But I also feel because he was previously a woman, he just knew where to go and then listened to my body and then stayed there.
And the fact that you bring that up is so true because there is an orgasm gap that exists in heterosexual relationships where women are getting less pleasure than men are. And that shows in the amount of orgasms that we have. And that's across the board from hookups all the way to marriage and everything in between. And so the orgasm gap does exist in heterosexual relationships, but in gay relationships and LGBTQ plus relationships, it exists less because of the very point that you made, that they may know the female body more and know how to pleasure it. But I will say here that I follow someone on Instagram. And anyway, I'm not going to give his name here, but
Yeah.
he talks about how the way that he gives oral sex is by it being almost as if you're giving oral sex to a man, right? You think about the clitoris as being like the penis, right? And you want to suck it as opposed to just licking it. And so the licking feels good, the touching feels good, but the sucking feels great. So just putting it out there.
Never had that.
Just
Hey, watch this podcast. Fast forward it to without asking directly, because you know how we do. It's not some people can, some women speak up, but I'm opening up.
um,
This is definitely gonna help me open up. I've never spoken
yes.
like this in public on a podcast, anything, so for sure.
Absolutely. And communication is like what this show is all about, really trying to communicate with our partners so that we can get our pleasure needs met. Because of the orgasm gap, I think it's so important for people and women, especially, to know their bodies and to know what makes them tick, what makes them orgasm, what brings them pleasure, so that we can translate that to the bedroom. End scene.
Woo, I'm sorry, I sucked at that. That was my very first time trying. Oh, that was so bad.
No, that was good. That was good. And actually, I just kept jumping back into
I'm like,
my
I messed
podcast
up.
personality. So I was messing up on that too. So don't worry about it. I should have been more like asking questions that like a homegirl would ask, and I just
I'm
kept
like,
talking about
sorry,
podcast stuff.
girl.
So it's okay. It's fine. It was good. And
Yeah,
I
it
think
got some details out of me. So yeah,
yeah, we definitely covered some good stuff. So I appreciate that you were willing to do that with me. I always think that the role plays are really fun and funny sometimes too. So thank you for being open to doing
thank
that and to
you. You're
sharing.
awesome. I love this space that you built.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I want to make sure that my listeners can find you so that they can reach out to you and have you help them with their issues. So please
Yeah.
tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at Lucky Girl CEO on Instagram. That's my main platform. Extremely active there. I post stories all day documenting what I do, my habits, because I want to show my clients that I'm not just telling you to do it, I'm doing it myself. And I'm doing it way harder than I'm even asking you or expecting of you, because I put myself into this. I'm also available on TikTok. I just repost what I post on Instagram, but you want to talk to me, DM me on Instagram. You'll get a message in 10 minutes or less.
Okay, great. So she's on Instagram and she is on TikTok. So those two platforms, be sure to follow her there. And if you loved this episode as much as I loved recording it with Kimberly, was a lot of fun. And please go ahead and copy and paste and send it to a friend that you think might enjoy this conversation. I think it's a universal conversation that a lot of people can really benefit from. And absolutely what you said, sharing the podcast with a partner or someone that, would benefit from hearing it. Fast forwarding to the part about giving head if that's the part you want them to hear or whatever it may be. This is a great way to share and communicate with your partner. If you can't say it verbally, but it's been said on a podcast, share it with your partner. And it is a great way to be able to open up those conversations. That was a great point that you brought up. I want to make sure that my listeners can also find me. My website is pleaseme.online. And I'm so excited to announce that I am up for an ASN award. And the ASN award is for Best Educator and also Best Educator website. So check out my website. My website is a plethora of information. I have a toy store on there. I have all of my affiliates with all of the products that I personally recommend and use myself. And also, I have just tons of all of my old webinars that I've done in the past and my shows and just lots of educational information. So be sure to check out my website, and also please, in the show notes today for this episode, you will find links to vote for me for Best Educator, vote for me for Best Educator website, and also vote for me for the Popularity Award for Best Latin Podcast or Latin Podcasting Awards is the name of the awards. And I was also nominated for a couple of those awards. And they also have a category that's like a favorite. I'm asking for votes for that as well. With that being said, I want to thank you, Kimberly, for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. See you next time. For ad-free listening, exclusive bonus episodes, Eve's library of archived webinars, and early access to new releases of Please Me, become a monthly supporter on Patreon. Simply open the Patreon app on your phone, search for Please Me, and subscribe today for premium content and more. Cheers to finding your pleasure and big lit energy.